Just found out my wife cheated after 21 years of marriage. Don't know what to do next. The marriage of my wife, 46F, and me, 48M, has lasted 21 years, and we have been together for 23 years. We have a 22-year-old child. In recent months, we've been dealing with various difficulties, and she has showed very little affection or connection to me and my family. Although I travel frequently for work, I've recently attempted to improve things by taking time off and making an extra effort to engage her, give her back rubs, hugs, and affection, but she has only grown more distant, eventually rejecting my advances the last couple of times I attempted to initiate contact. During the first 2 decades of our marriage, she has never refused to engage in any kind of intimacy with me. I've also been suspicious since she never takes her phone out of her pocket and keeps it concealed. I finally mustered up the confidence to look at the phone bill, and lo and behold, she's been calling and texting numbers that I don't recognize for quite some time. A huge backlog of communications, some going back to last year, have been received at all hours of the day and night, even on vacation. When I saw this, I had a strong sense that something wasn't quite right, so I sat her down and confronted her about it. She said that it was only an emotional relationship with no physical touch, simply verbal exchanges and flirting. On a regular basis, this individual walks into her office, although I've never met him before. I was depressed, but I had a sneaking suspicion that there had to be more to it, so I looked into it. The fact that he seems to be using a number of phone numbers to achieve this was revealed after some thorough inquiry, during which I learned his identify, social media profiles, place of work, veterinarian, and a few other details. After a few days, I confronted her with all I had discovered, and she denied until I threatened to go public. She finally acknowledged it was a physical affair that had been going on for quite some time, at least 6 months. She said she only had physical contact with him once, but when I questioned her for specifics, she couldn't recall when it happened. Right, after her gaslighting and lying to me for so long, I can't believe it occurred only once. What a jerk I've been. This is absolutely a deal breaker for me. We had what I believed was a wonderful marriage until lately, but who knows how long she has been tampering with us. We had decided to split and work on ourselves, but when she confessed to having an affair with him when challenged a few days later, I told her we needed to divorce. We have no small children and no substantial assets. She's had serious medical concerns, so we sold everything we'd worked hard for to pay for doctors and therapy. So the divorce procedure is very straightforward here. She has agreed to leave this week and wants to live with a single friend with children and sleep on her sofa. She claims the new man has 4 roommates, so she won't be living with him, but I don't believe her anymore. I'm at a loss on what to do next. Because we've been together for almost all of our adult lives, the pain and betrayal has left me extremely broken up. I'm genuinely mourning the marriage, and I hope we'd be able to work through it, but there's no turning back now. I'm fantastic. My son is close to her, and he is upset that she has been cheating on him, but he clearly still loves his mother. This is where I could really benefit from some guidance. I really want to blow this thing up and tell our family and friends why we're breaking up. She is frightened that I will make everything public and has pleaded with me not to since it may ruin his life, and he's a lovely man, except for wrecking marriages in his spare time. I know where he works and I'm considering informing others in his life about what is going on since he has completely wrecked my marriage and my life. My kid wants me to simply terminate things with her and not make a big deal out of it. He claims that if I go public about their adultery, I would be lowering myself to their level, but this has damaged my heart as well as our marriage, and I am becoming more enraged. Should I go public with them? Anyone have any suggestions on how I should go about this? Or are there any resources that might assist me in resolving this? How will I ever be able to trust again? Sorry for the lengthy, meandering post. I'm feeling a little out of it, to be honest. Thank you ahead of time. Edit. Many thanks to everyone who provided encouragement and suggestions. Right now, my kid is my first priority. He has just ended his relationship with his first love, who cheated, so the timing is terrible. I want to follow his desires, but I've decided that at the least, I'll inform our close friends and family, which will annoy my son, but after this treachery, I'm not going to allow her the opportunity to just conceal her acts and brush it all under the rug. I too feel a need to out my wife in order to keep some self-respect, and it's a lesson I hope my kid learns as well. Nothing he or I did could ever justify this betrayal of our family. I requested her to kindly simply pack her belongings and go. She accepted and would leave today. Also, We're just filing a joint petition for divorce. We have no assets other than some medical bills, which we will divide, so there is nothing else to argue over. There will be no alimony or child support. I have the divorce papers completed and notarized and will file on Monday. Edit #2. Following some angry PM, I booted her out of the home 6 days ago and informed both of our family and friends. She is allegedly living on the sofa of a friend and using her address. It doesn't really matter to me anymore since I'm just concerned with myself and my immediate family. I'm leaving a forwarding address since I'm relocating to a new apartment in 10 days. If I approach the man, there's a strong possibility I'll wind up in prison, so we're focusing on the future. Thank you again to everyone who commented or messaged me with nice and encouraging remarks. Story 2. My dad had an affair with his BFF wife. As a result, my father had an affair with the wife of his closest friend, whom we'll refer to as Jane. She said that she was passionately in love with my father and that her husband was completely unaware of it. As a result of getting a Facebook Messenger message from a fake account alleging that my father was beating his BFF wife, I investigated the matter further. My parents had been divorced since 2005, so it wasn't a big deal to me. There was a problem since someone unknown was sending my mother text messages in which she was instructed to leave my father alone and made other disparaging comments. It was something we first disregarded, but after a while, those anonymous SMS messages started to become a frequent occurrence. When we questioned my father, he acknowledged to sleeping with Jane, but maintained that she was not the one who sent the messages to my mother and sister. It was him who assured her that she was correct since Jane's husband was also getting similar messages. Because of her deceptions, my father was nearly completely blinded, while my mother and I both had a strong feeling that it was she who had done it. When we brought it up, my father got so upset that he stopped communicating with me and my mother for a period of time. I was furious as well, but I was much more so because he refused to believe me, despite the fact that I had no reason to lie to him. Nonetheless, I let it all go. Afterwards, I got another anonymous email that insulted me, telling me that I was exactly like my mother and that was why my boyfriend had abandoned me and that we'd be alone for the rest of our lives, among other offensive statements. After that, I felt outraged. I reported the anonymous messages to the cyber police, which exist in my country, and they tracked out the source of the conversations. It turned out to be her, and she was also sending messages to her husband, presumably because she was desperate for the truth to come out so that she could be with my father once more. Although I think that just confronting her husband would have been better, what she really wanted was to distance my father from me and my mom. After discovering that she was behind the anonymous messages and that she was in fact sleeping with my father, I decided to play a practical joke on her family by sending evidence to her husband and her sons that she was behind them and that she was in fact sleeping with my father. I then revealed the proof to my father and exposed her on Facebook. She was a saleswoman, so it did affect her. It was because her children and husband were so dissatisfied with her that she was forced to leave, and my father also discontinued his connection with her. I feel she deserved to be left alone, and I believe she did.